Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we will dive deep into stakeholder rating and how you can discover and address issues with your stakeholders by using a rating system. Not everyone is rating their stakeholders, but most product and project managers can definitely benefit from doing so. I'm Susanne, and I have been managing products and projects, launching successfully and bringing in great returns. I share my knowledge to help PMs become more influential. Rating your stakeholders requires some thought and brutal honesty. I would suggest that you do the initial rating by yourself. It can later be shared with someone if you want to discuss the rating outcome or any particular issues that have come up in the process, but choose who you share it with wisely as it can be very sensitive information. I will go through the simplest way to do stakeholder rating and then a couple of more options if you want to be more sophisticated, which might help, especially in complex environments. The simplest way of rating your stakeholders is the following. For each stakeholder, you rate them on two scales, power and interest. The rating is representing how much power they have over your product or project and how much interest they have in the product or project. This is an example of what a stakeholder rating could look like. You can choose if you want to rate on 1 to 5 scale or 1 to 10, or you might even choose 1 to 9, which would prevent anyone from being completely in the middle. I have filled in some ratings here in advance just to enable our chart next. This is what the rating could look like in a quadrant chart. The next step is to ask yourself, do I have the stakeholders where I want them in this chart? Am I set up for success when it comes to stakeholder support? Analyzing this chart, there are a couple of stakeholders with high power but low interest in the upper left-hand corner, AC and BD. This could be a risk, as they could prioritize other initiatives where they have a higher interest and stop supporting your project or product, which could slow you down or, worst case scenario, stop you altogether. If your conclusion is that your stakeholders are not in the right place, you need to figure out a strategy to change their position. How you do this depends on what you need to achieve, but as an example, you could question whether you have the right product or project sponsor. Should it actually be someone else, and therefore one of the high-powered stakeholders could be removed or take a different position in the chart, someone who has a higher interest in your product or project. Next, we will look at adding a third variable, enabling a bubble chart. When I was building a stakeholder application for rating stakeholders, I was thinking about how having an interest in something does not automatically translate to being supportive. Hence, I added support as a third variable and ended up with a bubble chart. So in this chart, the size of the bubble represents how supportive I perceive the stakeholder to be. This helped me identify some stakeholders that were not very supportive despite having an interest in my product. Therefore, I could work out a way to gain more support from them. In one case, it was as simple as organizing a one-to-one with the stakeholder in question to go through the details of the project and how the project would benefit them, and thereby getting more support from them moving forward. And finally, you can include more variables if you think it helps, like in this example. Here, the stakeholders are rated against a number of variables, and the outcome is the total score rather than a chart. You can analyze the total score, but also each variable to understand if one variable looks weak and needs addressing. So, what other strategies can you use to move stakeholders' positions? Let me know in the comments if you would like me to go through some of the most common ways to influence stakeholders and get maximum support as a PM. See you in the next video.